Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. In fact, if you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you'd already know that the title of tonight's show is Unfinished Business. And that is because there can be some unfinished business that you have to face this week. And the reason why is due to a very potentially volatile full moon that we are having tomorrow at 16 degrees of Gemini. And because it is conjuncting Mars, that planet of war and aggression and anger and hate and greed and jealousy, exactly, they are both at 16 degrees of Gemini tomorrow. It can simply indicate the possibility of a blow-up somewhere in your life. It may be in your near vicinity, or in your workplace, or in a familiar area that you go to a lot. But it could be a blow-up coming up on your horizon, because the moon rules our emotions and Mars rules anger. And so I think that a blow-up that can be pending or coming pretty soon can actually lead to some to the winding up of some unfinished business somewhere in your life or in the world. And that is due to the fact that this full moon has a very explosive conditions surrounding it. And one reason for that is that there are 6 planets that are in a harsh T-cross among the mutable signs. Last week there were 7 planets there. But the problem is that these 6 planets under the full moon tomorrow in Gemini are all squaring and opposing each other. 2 of them are malefic planets, so that's not too good. And so we begin with the full moon in Gemini tomorrow, exactly conjuncting Mars in Gemini. And so Mars is a very explosive, dynamic planet, and that means that our emotions can sort of boil over pretty easily, and that can be coming up right away. Those 2 planets are opposing the Sun exactly at 16 degrees of Sagittarius, because under a full moon, we know the moon opposes the Sun. And Venus is also in Sagittarius. That's a dynamic fire sign. And Venus is at 28 degrees, so it has zoomed through the sign of Sagittarius, and it's just about to leave. But in the meantime, under tomorrow's full moon, Mars will be opposing Venus, and that can indicate a lot of pressure and tension, and maybe even breakups in partnerships or legal dealings of some sort. So these 4 planets are all being squared by 2 other wonderful planets that are now both direct, and that is Neptune and Jupiter in Pisces is squaring the Mars and the full moon in Gemini, and Neptune and Jupiter in Pisces are also squaring the Sun and Venus in Sagittarius. So those are the 6 planets that are all sort of coming at each other, particularly under the full moon tomorrow. And generally when the lights, the Sun and the moon, are opposing each other, that can indicate indecision or confusion. And so that too can be lending to some sort of a blow-up that is necessary in order to resolve some unfinished business that people may have in their lives. Now, if that is not in your life at all, that will be a miracle, because it could happen around you. It could happen in your workplace. It could happen in your family. It could happen with your brothers and sisters, or it could happen with your neighbors. Gemini rules neighborhoods. If it's going to happen to you directly, it's going to be pretty close to you, pretty nearby, because Gemini rules sort of everyday normal places that we go, or people that we meet. So that's possible. Another reason, a somewhat sinister reason, why there can be a blow-up that leads to the need to resolve some unfinished business is that there are 4 planets right now that are all at the 16th degree. And 16 is a number that we reduce. We reduce numbers by adding digits. So 1 plus 6 equals 7. 7 is the number of mystery, and it's the number of Pisces, which is, Pisces rules things going on behind the scenes. It can rule omissions and deceptions. It can also rule charity and dance and the whole pharmaceutical field and the oil and gas business and extreme creativity, and it rules photography as well. I mean, Pisces rules a lot of things. But the 4 planets that are at 16 degrees need to be looked at a little bit more closely, sort of as a warning. First of all, the full moon is at 16 degrees in Gemini, exactly conjuncting Mars in Gemini, which means since the moon rules our emotions, and it is in the sign of youth, which is what Gemini rules, and Mars rules war and aggression and anger, it can indicate some sort of horrible blow-up that involves young people in one way or another, or even gang warfare. So we sort of need to look out for that. And then the 3rd planet that's at 16 degrees is the Sun, which is exactly opposing the Moon and Mars, also at 16 degrees. So even if there is some sort of a blow-up in your near vicinity, it could have far-reaching effect. Because Sagittarius rules, first of all, it's a fire sign, so it could really ignite something. That's why I think there's a blow-up around somewhere. And it also means that Sagittarius rules international law. And, it rules big questions. It rules international organizations. There could be a blow-up that would really set off a lot of concern about international affairs. And then the 4th planet that is at 16 degrees is a malefic planet, and it is Uranus, which is in Taurus. Well, the Moon and Gemini, the Moon and Mars are in Gemini, and right behind them is Uranus in Taurus. There are only 2 retrograde planets now. All the planets have gone direct except Mars and Uranus, both malefic planets, and both at the 16th degree. So Mars and Uranus, 2 planets that can really get you in trouble because one rules war and the other rules sudden surprising change and volatility, are both at the same degree, 16, which reduces to 7, and they're in perfect alignment within their orbits. And so where could the danger be? Well, first of all, a blow-up or some danger can be sort of right in your own backyard. It can be pretty close at hand, because that's what Gemini rules, familiar areas, or areas that are sort of a short distance from you. Or Gemini does rule young people. It also rules the whole field of the media, and that is because Gemini rules communication. It rules our neighborhoods because it rules easy transitional change. The other area where a blow-up could occur would be in the financial markets. And that's because that's what Taurus rules, and that's where Uranus is. So if there's going to be a blow-up, I would say one way or another we will see it. We will know about it. And it can lead to sort of dangerous things that would involve some unfinished business that absolutely had to be resolved. And so, because that's 2 of the 3 malefic planets. Well, the 3rd malefic planet is being squared by Uranus, because Uranus in Taurus is squaring Saturn in Aquarius. So it's either a blow-up that's going to happen in your near vicinity, or it's something that could have ramifications on the world stage, or it could simply be something that involves a very expensive settlement, legal settlement, or some sort of very expensive purchase. And, lots of money, could involve lots of money. But remember, it's a blow-up that ignites the need to resolve some unfinished business. Okay, so that's all going on. And so when I start a script, by the way, last week's show was our 1500th show. That only took 28 years. But what a milestone. And so, excuse me, when I start a script, I draw. I'm one of these people that if I can see it, I can understand it. I'm sort of a visual person. So I always draw a map of where all the planets are on the day of the show. And so that's today. And as I was looking at, the need to resolve unfinished business due to some sort of a blow-up, I was just thinking, how could we get out of this? I mean, that would be a great idea. Or if we could bypass it in some way. And there is one planet, only one, but it's there, that can really help us through a somewhat volatile or dangerous time that is coming up under the full moon tomorrow. It doesn't have to happen right tomorrow, but the conditions are set pretty well for that. And so this one planet is Saturn. It's the third malefic planet. But Saturn is now direct in Aquarius. And boy, you can't imagine what good aspects are coming to that Saturn. I mentioned that the Uranus is squaring Saturn. Oh, it's been doing that for years. And so we're all sort of used to that. But Saturn in Aquarius is actually trining the full moon and Mars in Gemini tomorrow. Because Aquarius is an air sign, and so is Gemini. So together those three planets are trining the sign of Libra as well, which is good. And then Saturn is also sextiling the Sun and Venus in Sagittarius, because Aquarius sextiles Sagittarius always. So if there's planets in either one of those signs, a sextile represents opportunity, so that's good. But right behind Saturn in Aquarius is Pluto in Capricorn, and it is direct. And it is trining that Uranus, sort of taking the edge off Uranus. And so that's good for that Saturn as well, because on the other side of Saturn are the two planets in Pisces, which are also sextiling that Saturn. And they are Neptune and Jupiter, and they are both direct now. So they're going to be a big help to that Saturn. And so that Saturn is in good aspect to all of the planets in the heavens right now, except that Uranus in Taurus, which is squaring it. So, that's a lot of planets, so it's in a good position. And what does that describe? That would describe, since Saturn rules time, and it rules people who are successful and learn a lot from their experiences, and that's how they sort of rise to the top. So I think that there can be a very determined leader right now who has a very serious vision of the future. He or she has a good vision of the future, but they are a very determined, strong leader, and they are focused on the future. And I think that even if they endure some sort of a blow-up, it can turn out to be a benefit to them, because they're a leader anyway. Leaders have the ability to handle things like this because they had a lifetime of experience behind them. They've had their failures. And so even with a blow-up of some kind, a very serious, determined leader with good future vision can benefit from a blow-up as they decide that they will do everything they can to resolve some unfinished business. In other words, wrap it up, wind it up, resolve it completely, because it's gone on too long. And so they're able to resolve some unfinished business, and that is in preparation for them for a much better year in 2023. So I'm describing things that don't look too good under the full moon tomorrow, but I'm also describing somebody at a pretty high position, or somebody with a lot of experience and good future vision that is going to be able to, even if they go through a blow up, they're going to be able to resolve some sort of unfinished business. In other words, finish it. And that will be in preparation for a much better year in 2023 that they are going to have. And along the way, that might be helping all of us as well. So keep your eyes open for somebody like that. Okay, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Aries. For you, Aries, since Mars is your own ruler, Aries, and it is conjuncting that full moon tomorrow in Gemini, I would say you really got to keep a lid on your emotions, Aries, because you might be, in one way or another, involved in some sort of blow-up. Now, it might just be that there's a snafu in your travel plans for the holidays, because actually the Sun and Venus in Sagittarius are trining your Sun, Aries, which is very good for you. But it's that your ruler is sort of up to no good right now. And so there can be a reason why you could be pretty upset about something, Aries. And you would need to resolve it, because somebody's got to, and it could directly affect you in a harmful way if you don't resolve it. So if you have any unfinished business in your life, Aries, you got to sit down and decide, okay, this is it. We're going to finish this up. And in order to do that, you just have to be very practical and businesslike and not let your emotions get the better of you. In other words, keep a lid on your anger, because you could be tempted to be very aggressive right now. But that isn't going to get you too far. And yet, if you agree to settle some unfinished business right now, Aries, just remember that can set you free to go on your way and start something new, which you would love to do. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is a time, Taurus, when you too have got to be really, really careful with the money. And you have to be careful with your emotions. And you also have a certain need to be extra safety conscious right now. And that is because Mars and the full moon tomorrow, which are exactly conjuncting each other, are right ahead of your sun sign. And remember, I warned you about something that has to do with a blow-up that could be connected to gang warfare. Well, if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, Taurus, you could walk right into that, much to your detriment. I mean, you could get hurt. And so you really need to stay away from arguments with young people or arguments with anybody. But actually, I think you may be tempted to fight about something, Taurus. And the reason why is that Uranus, that planet of volatility and sudden surprising change, is in your sign, a fixed financial sign, and it is exactly in perfect alignment with Mars and the full moon tomorrow in Gemini. They're all at 16 degrees, all three of them. And then the Sun in Sagittarius is also at 16 degrees. The reason I bring that up is because 16 reduces to 7, the number of mystery, indicating that if there is some unfinished business in your life or anybody else's, there could be a sort of a mysterious way to resolve it, but it might get done behind the scenes. Okay, so that's all right, as long as it gets done. But 16 reducing to 7 is 16 is the number of what they call the falling tower in tarot. And what it means is that something can blow up, and so you fall from your height, and you take a big fall. And then, of course, you're supposed to learn from your mistakes and start over in life. Okay, so that would imply that you might be really hurt by something, Taurus. And I don't mean necessarily physically hurt, since your sign is a financial sign. You really have to watch the money now. And I would say, just sort of word to the wise, you may not get all the money that you want right now, Taurus, but I would sure settle up some unfinished business and get what you can now. Don't argue about it. Just settle it. Because there could be more heavy expenses in your future if you do not settle something. So it would be less expensive for you to clear up some unfinished business now and sort of end it, if you can. So I hope you do. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Gemini. Well, Gemini, it's probably you that really has to sort of watch where you walk, because for one thing, that full moon is in your sign. Everybody's going to get a real clear look at you tomorrow, Gemini, because the moon is so much light. But it can be that you are going to be in a position, for one reason or another, to understand your emotions a little bit better. And you may be tempted to just say, okay, I have had it. I am blowing up. Well, how far does that get you, Gemini? I wouldn't do that. You could certainly feel like it, though. I mean, there could be a reason why you were just plain fed up with something. Or you could be around other volatile, argumentative people. And you're a person, Gemini, that you could sort of get caught in the middle of other people's problems. And they could just, it's called being the odd man out. Then suddenly everybody turns on you and blames you instead. So Gemini, I would take tomorrow off if you could, or at least relax, or try to stay away from volatile people or any situation that is sort of coming to a head right now. But the full moon and the title of today's show indicate that even if there is a blow up, or it is an indication that there has got to be some unfinished business that does get resolved. And you will probably be involved in that in one way or another, Gemini. And so it could be about you, something that in your career or in your life or in your health habits or something like that needs to be sort of wound up. So maybe you just need to pay attention to something like that a little bit more in order to do your best. Because with Mars opposing Venus, okay, so the Sun and Venus are opposing your sign, Gemini, and Neptune and Jupiter are squaring it. I would say that it would be very tempting for you to step into something and really get hammered on all sides. And you shouldn't do that. You should, no matter how many good answers you've got right now, keep them to yourself, Gemini. Mind your own business. And take the day off if you can. And let these things pass. The moon's a fast mover. I mean, these 4 planets that are all at 16 degrees, which indicates a fall, they'll move on. But tomorrow, you could be looking at some sort of dangerous situation. You may not cause it, but you might get caught in the middle of it. And that's why you need to be super careful. Just stay in a safe place all day long if you can. And try not to talk to too many people, or else just call in sick on your job and take the day off. That might be the best move you could make. I'm sure you're going to need to be very, very careful. And the one thing that you really need to do is zip the lip, Gemini. No matter how right you are about something, tomorrow is not going to be the day to talk about it. Just keep as quiet as you can. Because even if you are right, somebody will get offended. And if you don't want to get caught in a blow-up, then just stay out of it. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Cancer. This is the time, Cancer, when you can be somewhat relieved because Jupiter and Neptune, which are conjuncting each other in Pisces, are trining your sun. They've been doing that for a long time. But they were retrograde, and now they're both direct. And that means you will be able to solve a mystery or see what's been going on behind the scenes. Or it can be that since the full moon and Mars are in Gemini right behind your sun sign, Cancer, it might be that somewhere in the background of your life there is a blow-up or an explosive situation that leads to the undeniable truth that some unfinished business has got to be cleared up. And this could be happening behind the scenes in your life because those explosive planets are right behind your sign. But at the same time, the planets in Pisces, which are trining your sun, are an indication that you can sort of look deeply within, or you can look behind the surface or beneath the surface or behind the curtain, whatever. In other words, you can go to sources that people don't realize you have, and you could find out the truth, and that is what could really help you clear up some unfinished business. And so you might come out better for it. If you finally face something and clear up some unfinished business, remember that would allow you and anybody else to prepare for a much better year in 2023. If you finally resolve some unfinished business now. Because the longer you wait, the worse it will get. Either it's going to be even more expensive when you finally get around to it, or else it will be more explosive when you finally get around to it. So discretion is the better part of valor, Cancer. If I were you, if you have some pending matters that need to be wrapped up, I would go behind the scenes, make sure you've got your facts right, and then do it. You will be very glad you did, because even if unfinished business is resolved somewhat mysteriously behind the scenes, the point is it's going to free you up for a much better year in 2023. And that is a good incentive, because we're getting to the end of this year, and you should try to get ready for next year. You could have a very good year next year. But not if you just let something keep dragging on. You've got to clear it up. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Leo. Well, Leo, the Sun and Venus in Sagittarius are still trining your Sun, which is good. That can make you think of far-off shores or great vacation plans that you want to take over the holidays, because Sagittarius does rule travel, which is good. And also, the planets in Gemini sextile your Sun, Leo. And so it's the full moon and Mars that are going to be sextiling your Sun tomorrow. And then the Sun and Venus, remember the Sun is also at 16 degrees, just like the moon and Mars in Gemini. And the Sun and Venus in Gemini trine your Sun. So those are both good aspects. A sextile and a trine are good aspects. So you have some support right now, Leo. And I would say much needed support. In other words, there are people that would be willing to help you, particularly if there had been a blow up around somewhere, or if there's one that's really on, if somebody is becoming angry and hard to manage and somewhat volatile and mean, if the reason behind their actions is because they want some unfinished business to be cleared up, I would sure do that, Leo. Try to diffuse a volatile, angry situation by being as cooperative as you can be. And as understanding and agreeable as you can be. Remember, Venus is trining your Sun. And that way, you can be setting yourself up to get out of something that is somewhat contentious and prepare yourself for a better start in 2023. So even if you don't get everything that you want, involving some unfinished business. The fact that you finish it, that you wind it up, is your ticket to freedom, Leo. It's your ticket to a much better year next year. And so, you can say, oh, well, I'm just going to let it all ride until they change their mind. Well, I wouldn't do that, Leo. I would end something, because we really do need to get over some things, and we do need to prepare for 2023. It's going to be sort of an up and down year, but in Chinese astrology, it's the year of the rabbit, which is it's generally a more gentle year. And it should be a better year for you, Leo. But you have to agree to resolve some unfinished business. And if you don't get what you want, at least end it. And that's, as I said, your ticket to freedom. So be sure and do that. You will be glad you did. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Virgo. Well, Virgo, there's already 6 planets in the mutable signs, and they all square and oppose your sun sign, Virgo. And so you're either going to be directly involved in a blow-up that results in a need to clear up some unfinished business, or else somebody very close to you is going to be involved in that. So either you're a direct participant, which you might be, or else it's somebody pretty close to you that is a participant in a blow-up that leads to the need to clear up some unfinished business. Now, how could you be directly involved? Well, it might be a business partner of yours, and things are not working out too well. It could be because the economy is changing. It could be because inflation is so high. It might also be because debt is so high worldwide. That's a real crusher, because it hurts everybody, even people who don't have debt. That it hurts, and so. And the reason why is that it hurts whole economies. And it's hard to dig yourself out from debt. But sooner or later, everybody's got to do it. And so I think, Virgo, that with the full moon in Gemini and Mars tomorrow squaring your sun, and the sun and Venus in Sagittarius squaring your sun, and Neptune and Jupiter, which are conjuncting each other, and Neptune is the strongest planet. It's the only one at home in its sign, opposing your sun sign. I think, Virgo, that either you have to tell yourself that you are going to step back and not say a word and not participate in some sort of unfinished business, which I think is not a good idea, because if it's unfinished, it's still going to hang over you. So what's the point of that? But if it's somebody else's unfinished business, and you want to make a comment, or they ask you for help, this is the one time in your life when you should say no, Virgo. Do not get involved in a blow-up or in somebody else's unfinished business. Stay out of it. And so, just like Gemini, you too might have to call in sick tomorrow, Virgo, or just be as quiet as you can be, because it's not a good idea for you, even if you want to be helpful, for you to voice your opinion about something that really you did not start. And, I don't think you can finish it either. So you need to stay out of it. And if there is some unfinished business that you need to wind up, then you should just do it in a very business-like manner, which Virgos are good at. If Virgos rules accounting, if it all gets down to the math and the numbers and, the bottom line, that could actually work out real well for you, Virgo, because Uranus in Taurus is trining your sun, and so is Pluto in Capricorn. You do have backup, as long as you stick to the facts. But this is a full moon that has to do with some sort of volatile emotions. You know, it's the moon, which rules our emotions, being conjuncted by Mars. So, as I'm saying, stay out of something, Virgo. Really try to. And this is not the time when you should be helping anybody else with their problems, because that'll make a bigger problem for you. And so self-preservation is what you got to think about right now. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Libra. This is a time, Libra, when, you know, I described somebody who has a lot of experience. They can be a gifted leader. They can have a good vision for the future. And even if they endure a blow-up, it will help them clear up some unfinished business in preparation for a better year in 2023. You might know that person, Libra, or you might be that person. And that is because the full moon and Mars in Gemini tomorrow trine your sun. And Saturn in Aquarius, which is sort of the kingpin in all of this, it's sort of the way out and does depict a very experienced leader. That Saturn in Aquarius also trines your sun. So if you have any unfinished business, Libra, you could get help with that. You could resolve it. I think what you need to do is you need to make sure that you have somebody, maybe even behind the scenes that other people don't realize you know, who is more than happy to back you up and help you if you need it. And it would be good to contact very knowledgeable people, or people that, old friends, people you've known a long time, and they would do what they could to help you. And I'm not so sure that you're really going to need it, but if you're in any kind of a situation that is like a legal or a partnership situation, remember that's what Venus rules, and Venus is opposing this full moon because it's in Sagittarius. So it's opposing Mars and it's opposing the full moon tomorrow. And Jupiter and Neptune and Pisces are squaring that Venus as well. So since it's your own ruler, if you are involved in any kind of a legal matter that doesn't look like it's working out too well for you, you need to go to seek out wise advice from experienced people or old friends who would be quite willing to help you. And if there was some sort of a blow-up, even that could help you, because maybe that would clear the air. And maybe it would just like lay everything right out, and people would have to deal with it because it's out in the open. So I don't think you're going to get too hurt, Libra, unless you just let somebody walk all over you. The Libras are pretty nice people. They do let people walk on them sometimes. This is not the time to do that. You have such strength fortifying your sign right now, because the full moon and Mars trine your sun, and so does Saturn in Aquarius, that you can clear up some unfinished business right now, Libra. And it can work out to your benefit, particularly in 2023. So the sooner you do that, the better it will be for you. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time, Scorpio, when yes, you still benefit greatly from Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces, both direct now and trining your sun. And that is because they are very powerful. Neptune is the most powerful planet in the heavens right now because it rules the sign it's in, and it's direct, finally. It's been retrograde for a long time. But because of that, you may have been quietly trying to seek answers behind the scenes, and that's what Pisces rules, things behind the scenes, so that you could make an informed judgment, perhaps about some unfinished business that you know has to be wrapped up, or you've been sort of putting it off because you weren't too sure in your own mind of who was responsible for doing different things. Well, now you may know that. You may be You may have a real clear idea of what's been going on behind the scenes now, or you could be much closer to the truth, Scorpio. And you would be close enough to the truth that you would be able to complete some unfinished business. You wouldn't need to wait any longer. I mean, whatever further information you would get, it would be somewhat a repeat of what you already know. So don't waste your time. And instead, you really need to go forward now, since your sign rules justice, Scorpio. And there's not as much pressure in the fixed signs as there used to be. And you have even greater strength from people behind the scenes because of those good planets in Pisces that are direct now but trining your sun. So I think that over a period of time when you've been sort of searching for answers, you have found them. You have enough information to be able to resolve some unfinished business. And since your sign rules justice, now's the time. And also, your ruler, Mars, is involved in this full moon. I mean, there can be a blow-up. Even if there's a blow-up about something, Scorpio, you need to resolve unfinished business now. End something. And that way, you will be able to follow your own vision, and you will be able to prepare for a much better year in 2023. And now's the time to do it. In fact, I don't think you could find a better time than now to do it. So if there was some sort of a cutoff or a resolution of some unfinished business, the timing is excellent for you to go ahead and involve yourself in that, Scorpio. And do it with sense of justice. Because I think you have all the answers you need now. So I hope you follow through on them. It's the right thing to do. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius. This is a time, Sagittarius, when you can feel like, oh, gee, what did I do? Because the full moon tomorrow in Gemini, conjuncting Mars, is opposing your sun sign exactly. In other words, the sun in your sign, Sagittarius, at 16 degrees is opposing both Mars and the full moon in Gemini, also at 16 degrees. And they are backed up by another planet that's in perfect alignment with them, Uranus in Taurus, which is right behind them. And so, Sagittarius, and you also have Neptune and Jupiter squaring your sun. Those are very good planets, though. Since only Mars and Uranus are retrograde now, that can indicate unfinished business that has to do with something in your a familiar area. It could be in your workplace. It could be in your neighborhood. It could be sort of wherever you and your friends hang out. But there's something that's got to be cleared up a little bit or finished up in those areas. And the reason why is because you have good planets in your sign, Sagittarius, the Sun and Venus. They're great. And I think that you do not want to be involved in any way with any further contention. Not a contentious situation, not a contentious relationship, not a contentious financial problem. I think you just don't want to be involved in anything like that. So you may decide in a very nice way to address something that has to do with unfinished business and just sort of end it. But end it in a way where you're resolving the issue. And that will free you up to move forward, just like it would free Leo up to move forward. There's, the planets in your sign, which are the only planets in a fire sign, are very good planets. And so you should be agreeable to some way to end some unfinished business right now and complete it and be able to move on. And so do yourself a favor, Sagittarius. If there's anything you've got to wrap up, now is exactly the right time to do it. because, the new year is coming right up. And you've got to be ready for that, Sagittarius, because Jupiter will leave Pisces. It'll come back into Aries and start trining your sun again. You've got to be ready for that. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Capricorn. Well, Capricorn, you may feel like you just want to keep your head down and keep on going forward on your own very quietly and sort of escape all of the over-emotionalism or the danger or the any kind of arguments that could be going on. In other words, a Capricorn would not like to be involved in a blow-up. But remember, it could happen in a neighborhood, or it could happen in an area where you're familiar with. And it doesn't mean that you would institute it, but you might be a witness to it, some sort of a blow-up. Or it can be that there has been some unfinished business, even legal business or partnership business, that really needs to be resolved in one way or another. And so that could be cleared up too. Capricorns are very good business people because Capricorn rules big business and big government. And Pluto is direct now. And so it's trining that Uranus in Taurus. So Uranus in Taurus and Mars in Gemini, both at 16 degrees and in perfect alignment, are what you might call double trouble. And yet, I don't think you're going to be involved in it, Capricorn. First of all, because Uranus trines your sun, and because you have Pluto in your sun sign. And that means that you have a real firm idea of what is yours. And there doesn't need to be any discussion of unfinished business. You know what you're in control of, and it's probably all written down and it's all legal and everything is fine. So what I'm saying is, Capricorn, you're sort of the captain of your own ship right now, and that's good. But I would say you don't need to do anything with that, except just remain sort of quiet and still and very sure of your own power. But you don't need to stress it or advertise it or anything else. It's like with anything else that's really good, you don't have to sell it to anybody. If you know what you're doing, that's enough. You're just solid. And I think that you do know what you're doing, Capricorn. So the only thing I can advise is if there is trouble brewing somewhere, stay out of it. And it would be among people that aren't your type anyway. So just don't get involved. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius. Remember, Aquarius, Saturn is in your sign, and you should be thanking your lucky stars about that right now, said Aquarius. And the reason why is that I explain that Saturn is the one planet out of the 10 planets that is enjoying very supportive aspects from all the other planets except that Uranus, which is squaring your sun sign, and Saturn in your sign. Well, it's been doing that for years, and it's going to continue to do that for a couple more. You're probably used to that. And that means that you would probably always be sort of moaning and groaning about the high cost of living and about how expensive things are and how much taxes you probably owe on things. Okay, so that's true. But on the other hand, it may be, particularly if you are an Aquarian that has a lot of experience at something, it may be you that has good future vision and is able even to benefit from some sort of a blow-up that can help you prepare to resolve some unfinished business so that you can have a much better year in 2023. That is entirely possible for you right now, Aquarius. Okay, so sure, you'd have to sort of step up to the plate and say, okay, I'm going to resolve this now. Let's wrap this up. Let's finish it up. Let's get over it. Let's do it. But if you do, that only sort of gives you a free ride right toward your vision for a better future. And I think, you know, you're not going to get hurt in this full moon. And that's because the full moon and Mars in Gemini trine your sun, the sun and Venus in Sagittarius sextile your sun, so does Pluto in Capricorn, so do Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces. You're surrounded by an awful lot of support right now, Aquarius. It must feel very surprising to you because you haven't had that very much in the last couple of years, but you've really got it right now. So good luck to you, and if there is something that needs to get finished up, I think that you should do it. Boy, this would be the best time that you've had in a couple of years to sort of finish up something. You know, if unfinished business has been hanging over your head, now's the time to resolve it, Aquarius. You couldn't ask for a better time than right now, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Pisces. Well, Pisces, you know, I said that 16 is a number that when we add the digits 1 plus 6, we get 7. And 7 is the number of mystery, and that's the number of your sign, Pisces. And, you know, the mystery is that yours is a double-bodied sign. And I think that as far as anything mysterious going on in your life, I think it will be completely cleared up right now, Pisces. And the reason why is that you can have extraordinary vision right now. It's like, Pisces, you happen to be in a spot right now with both Neptune, your ruler, which is the strongest planet in the heavens right now because it's at home in the sign it rules, conjuncting Jupiter, and both of those planets finally being direct in your sign, that you are going to be able to draw very good conclusions about information that you've been sort of piecing together and thinking about and gathering. And I think now, Pisces, you have some answers, and you don't need to look any further. You have enough information to make up your mind on something, Pisces. And it can be something that you are deciding to get pretty serious about. And that is because Saturn, which is in a remarkably good spot for this full moon in Gemini tomorrow, that Saturn in Aquarius is right behind your sun sign. But it is being sort of lit and helped out by every single planet in the heavens, including the 2 that are in your sign, except for Uranus and Taurus. So, I mean, it's got a lot of support. So even in the background of your life, you can resolve some unfinished business or things that you just haven't addressed. You know, you've just been letting them ride. And I would say now is the time when you can see things very clearly. You have the answers. You know what they are. There's no sense kidding yourself about anything right now, Pisces, because you have the ability, if you clear up some unfinished business, and I think what that means is that if you have been sort of wishing on a star and hoping that something was going to happen, and just dreaming and dreaming about it, because your sign does rule dreams, Pisces have a lot of dreams, and now you could actually see whether it could ever come true or not. And you would know that. And now is the time to face that. So that's your unfinished business. You have to decide what to do about a dream that has not come true yet. Do you just let it go? Well, maybe you should. Because we're facing a new year. And you have plenty of information about what you want to do. And it may be that you're deciding to get real serious about your future. This is the right time to do that. There's a lot of support for that. And so I think that something somewhat mysteriously, such as the right answer, really comes to you right now, and you should act on it. This can be a very enlightening time for you, Pisces, but if you were ever trying to get around something instead of just facing it, now's the time to face it instead and realize that we are looking at a new year. And if you want to go in a new direction, you sure can. So I hope you decide to wrap something up, quit sitting on the fence, and decide to go for something. You would know what it was. Even if you didn't talk to anybody about it, you would know what it was. So I wish you the best of luck. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show and read our blog on our website, starborninstitute.org, or I can send you the show every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. if you'd like to subscribe to my Karen Campbell YouTube channel, and I hope you tell your friends about that too. So until next week, thanks a lot. Bye.